Hi guys, is Angela Rayner Labour's Boris Johnson? Now wait, hear me out before you switch off in disgust at such a comparison. Boris Johnson as Prime Minister was highly unusual. He was able to get away with behaviour and language that Theresa May or David Cameron or even Margaret Thatcher wouldn't dream of using. Johnson, a liar and an immoral charlatan, was great at thinking on his feet, coming up with witty remarks and being able to get the House of Commons laughing. While I despise the theatre that takes place in Parliament, I understand that many politicians use it to their advantage. At the end of PMQs on Wednesday, Angela Rayner closed her set of questions with what seemed to be a petty insult, but there's more than meets the eye.
Never mind some secretive deep state, it's the state of the Tory party that's the problem. They're in a deep state of sewerage. After 14 years, they failed renters, they failed leaseholders and they failed mortgage holders. But, Mr Speaker, I read with interest that the Right Honourable Gentleman has been urging his neighbour in Number 10 to call an election because he's worried they might get wiped out. Has he finally realised that when he stabbed Boris Johnson in the back to get his mate into Number 10, he was ditching their biggest election winner for a pint-sized loser?
Oh, now, so this comment has done the rounds, and a lot of people on the right and many conservatives are complaining about the use of this language, a pint-sized loser. Now, Angela Rayner is not the one who came up with this term. It seems it was Nadine Dorries. In her book, she described Rishi Sunak as a pint-sized loser or pint-sized. So what Angela Rayner is doing here, of course, is using the stabbing in the back of Boris Johnson and the pint-sized loser phrase to take a few swipes at the Conservative Party and, of course, the people who replaced Boris Johnson. So she knows that the party is deeply divided and there are still many people who would like to see Boris Johnson back. But something wonderful about, and I'm a huge fan of Angela Rayner, I think she's doing a wonderful job, and I would prefer to see her do PMQs than Keir Starmer. But what's wonderful about her is that she, like Boris Johnson, is able to use language, is able to use flair in a way that you don't see from other politicians. So if Keir Starmer had delivered that line, it wouldn't have the same impact. It's something about Angela Rayner that she's able to deliver lines in this way. Her use of language, her accent is a real benefit to her because she's able to speak and sound like working class people, and that's not an insult. She's able to reach out in ways that maybe Keir Starmer can't. Keir Starmer comes across as cold, as professional, and in a negative way. And the way that Boris Johnson, while he went to Eton, is no working class hero, he was able to present himself in that way. Now, Angela Rayner is much more authentic, of course. Boris Johnson was a liar and a charlatan, and he was pretending, but he was very good at pretending. He was so good at pretending that people believed that he was like somebody you'd want to have a beer with down the pub. And Angela Rayner is exactly like somebody you'd like to have a beer with down the pub. Keir Starmer, not so much. Rishi Sunak, certainly not. So I think the comparison is not probably the best, but Angela Rayner has something that maybe Boris Johnson used to have. And I mean that in a positive way. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think about all of this. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.